In 1824, a chorus of 480 voices unleashed Beethoven's Ninth inside a Viennese theatre. The ovation lasted so long, the deaf composer had to be turned around to see it. That power was not accidental. It was built by courts, churches, and composers who engineered sound to command authority. The question is not why it moves you, it is who designed it to the watchful eye of Prince Archbishop Colloredo. Every week a new Mass or Vespers was demanded for the cathedral, each note a reflection of the Archbishop's power. Salary ledgers list Mozart's earnings as a court musician, but the real cost was constraint. Colloredo's mandates left no room for improvisation. Scores had to follow a strictly Catholic style, with secular influences strictly banned. The music was engineered to project piety and order, reinforcing the Archbishop's authority at every service. When Mozart moved to Vienna in 1781, he entered another world of hierarchy and spectacle. Emperor Joseph II, known for his reforms, appointed Mozart as chamber composer. The imperial stipend, 800 gulden a year, was meagre by courtly standards, but the true currency was visibility. In the Imperial Burgtheater, Mozart's operas became living emblems of imperial grandeur. The architecture amplified the effect with tiered boxes for nobility and vast open spaces for orchestral resonance. Here, Mozart adjusted his orchestrations, expanding wind sections for court ceremonies and tightening string textures for private salons. The music had to fill not just the room, but the expectations of an empire. Meanwhile, in Leipzig, Johann Sebastian Bach's world was defined by the city council and the nave of the Thomaskirche. Bach's contract spelled out his obligations: compose a new cantata every Sunday, supervise the choir, and uphold the city's Lutheran identity. The council's payment records show bonuses for feast days, tying musical scale to civic ritual. The stone vaults of the Thomaskirche turned Bach's choral works into sonic monuments, music as both spiritual uplift and a statement of municipal order. In both court and church, the sound was crafted to serve power, shaping not just what people heard, but what they believed. Beethoven entered the Kantnertor Theatre on May 7, 1824, nearly stone-deaf, his body frail, his eyes searching for cues he could no longer hear. Yet the sound about to erupt would dwarf any weakness. The Ninth Symphony's premiere was no courtly ritual or cloistered service. It was a public spectacle on a scale Vienna had never witnessed. The hall's seating chart, preserved in the archives, mapped more than 1,000 paying listeners across 3 tiers, their anticipation thick in the air. On stage, an orchestra packed the pit, and behind it, a chorus of 480 voices waited, shoulder to shoulder, ready to unleash a force measured not just in music, but in raw physical energy. As the final movement began, tension coiled in the air. Beethoven's score demanded a G7 chord, stretched to the breaking point, brass and timpani pounding, the harmony refusing to resolve. The audience gripped their seats. Then, with a single choral downbeat, the dam broke. Ode to Joy thundered out, strings, winds, brass, and nearly 500 human voices fused into a wall of sound that seemed to shake the foundations. The Vienna Zeitung's review described the moment. The power of the music broke the usual decorum of the hall. Some wept openly. Others leapt to their feet, unable to contain the shock and awe. The ovation lasted for minutes, waves of applause, shouts, and stamping feet, all for a composer who could not hear a single note. This was not music as private luxury or religious order. It was a civic event, a public catharsis, and a demonstration of how sound itself could command, overwhelm, and unite. Beethoven's Ninth drew power from scale, hundreds of performers, a packed theatre, and a sonic architecture engineered for maximum impact. The symphony's force was not just emotional, but physical. Its harmonies and orchestrations crafted to be felt in the body as much as heard in the ear. In that moment, the concert hall became an arena of shared experience and collective release, and Beethoven, despite his silence, stood at the center of a new kind of musical authority, one that belonged to the public and to the power of sound itself. Paris, May 29, 1913. The Theatre des Champs-Élysées is packed with the city's elite, waiting for the new ballet by Igor Stravinsky. The lights dim, the orchestra begins, and within minutes the air is electric with confusion. Stravinsky's Rite of Spring crashes through the hall, clashing rhythms, shrieking woodwinds, pounding dissonance. The music refuses to behave. It hammers at every expectation of grace and order. Dancers stomp and twist in jagged lines. The crowd erupts, shouts ricochet off the marble. According to Le Figaro, objects are hurled from the balconies. Le Matin reports the hall filled with shouts, objects thrown, police intervened. On stage, Václav Nijinsky counts out the impossible rhythms for the dancers, straining to be heard over the chaos. He later recalled that he felt the audience's fury like a physical force, and the music seemed to explode the walls. Police are called as the riot spills into the aisles. Stravinsky flees backstage, chased by the roar. For the first time, music is not just a display of beauty or status. It is a weapon, a spark that ignites the crowd. The Rite of Spring turns sound into ideology, rebellion, and raw power. In that moment, the concert hall is no longer a sanctuary of order, but a battlefield, and Stravinsky stands at its center, wielding rhythm and dissonance like artillery. Franz Liszt strode onto the stage in Paris in 1842, and the room erupted. Reports from Le Journal des Débats described women fainting, fans clutching at his gloves, and the word Listomania flashed across the city's newspapers. The music itself seemed to electrify the crowd, but it was more than sound. It was spectacle, branding, and commerce fused together. Liszt's own diary recorded the roar of Vienna's audience as louder than the orchestra, a force that felt beyond his control. Promoters seized the moment, doubling ticket prices and selling out halls from Berlin to London. Seats that once cost a few francs now soared, and the rush for tickets spilled into the streets. Broadsheets advertised the demigod of the keyboard, while publishers flooded the market with Liszt's sheet music, capitalizing on every note and rumor. Across Europe, Niccolò Paganini's violin unleashed a different kind of frenzy. Broadsheets whispered of a devil's pact, claiming his bow was enchanted. The London Musical Times wrote that his arpeggios could summon a supernatural force. Rumours only pushed ticket prices higher. Some concerts charged triple the standard rate, and audiences paid eagerly for a glimpse of the man they believed had made music with the underworld. Paganini's image, etched with wild hair and a haunted stare, became a logo for the supernatural and a magnet for profit. In the hands of Liszt and Paganini, music became a commodity and a brand. The sound was powerful, but the machinery behind it, the press, rumour, ticket sales, turned sonic allure into real money. The concert hall became a marketplace, and the artist, a star whose very presence could inflate the price of admission. The age of courtly patronage was over, and the business of celebrity had begun. Hans Zimmer stands at the centre, surrounded by a wall of strings, brass, and percussion. But this is not the orchestra of Mozart or Beethoven. This is an industrial scale machine tuned for maximum sonic force. The hall's reverberation time, 2.2 seconds, lets every note linger and collide, building a sound field that can reach over 105 decibels at its peak. Engineers route the lowest frequencies to a dedicated subwoofer channel, unleashing rumbles below the threshold of hearing, a physical pressure that rolls through the floor and the chest. Zimmer's scores for films like Inception and Dune blend live brass with synthesized layers, stacking harmonies so thick they seem to bend the air. Hybrid cues might combine 12 French horns, a battery of trombones, and a synth bass, all locked in a slow, swelling crescendo. The ensemble's sheer size lets Zimmer build chords that feel seismic, while digital processing multiplies the impact, stretching every swell into a tidal wave. This is not just music, it is architecture, engineered to overwhelm. The result is a modern spectacle, a sound designed not just to accompany images, but to dominate them, to make the audience feel the story in their bones. Here, orchestral power becomes a product of technology, money, and raw acoustic mass, echoing the ambitions of emperors and revolutionaries, scaled up for a global audience and a new kind of empire. On a streaming dashboard, the numbers move faster than any orchestra. Ludovico Einaudi's Elegy for the Arctic crosses 100 million streams, each play counted, sorted and fed into a global algorithm. Max Richter's On the Nature of Daylight rides curated playlists to the top of Apple Music's classical charts, then lands in the credits of another Netflix original. In this world, exposure is not decided by royal decree or the roar of a concert hall, but by the logic of data. Playlist curators and recommendation engines act as digital gatekeepers, shaping what millions will hear next. Spotify's interface shows the results in real time. Einaudi's catalogue, once confined to European concert halls, now racks up billions of plays worldwide. Richter's minimalist harmonies are boosted by algorithmic placement, up to 12% more likely to reach a listener's home feed than an unpromoted track. Licensing deals follow the streams. One Einaudi piano theme licensed to a Netflix series brings in more revenue per month than a year of live performances in the old model. The power to move an audience, once tied to the acoustics of a cathedral or the spectacle of a riotous premiere, now flows through recommendation code and corporate licensing agreements. Beneath the surface, the structure remains familiar: tension and release, harmony and resonance. But the levers of power have shifted. The force that once belonged to emperors and impresarios now sits behind a dashboard, where a single playlist update can launch a composer into global consciousness or erase them overnight. Today, algorithms decide which symphony surges through your headphones. Yet the architecture, the harmony, the calculated tension, and the sheer sonic force still command bodies and moods, as they did in palaces and revolutions. Power never left the music, it just changed hands. The next crescendo isn't written yet. What story will it tell?